Hello everyone, Faisal Talpur here. Hope you're keeping well. Today we are going to discuss how to improve your processes, how to shorten your processes in business. What we are going to discuss today and what I'm going to talk you through is the different steps that you can implement to improve any process in your business. Now, this can be an individual process, or it could be your business overall. So the entire business process, that takes to run your entire operation, that powers your business basically. And you may ask, why would we want to shorten, a business process or improve it? It's mainly from the point of view of making it more efficient, more productive, and obviously getting the maximum out of it. So minimum input, maximum output is the name of the game, as you can imagine, when it comes to improvising business processes. So let's talk through the steps. But before I do that, if you'd like to discuss this further, visit customizedstrategy.com. That is www.customizedstrategy.com. That's where you'll get the opportunity to book a consulting session with me, so we can discuss if this is something that interests you. Anyway, so coming back to the different steps. Number one, take any process that you think needs some improvement. It could be, like I said, your entire business, or it could be one independent process of a business, sales process, the production process, procurement process, as in human resource process, how you acquire your staff members in your company. It could be anything. Take that process, write the first step that starts the process. That's step number one. Now write the very last step where you finish that process, right? So you're writing the starting point and you're writing the ending point, right? And then step number three is write down all the different steps that are needed in between or are taken in your company to fulfill that entire process. So step one, first part of the process. Step last, or step two, is the last part of the process. In between, write down all the steps that are needed to fulfill that particular process. After you've written all the steps, let's say let's say 10 steps to fulfill that process. Those steps are actually your component parts of that process, right? Now what you've got to do is that you've got to analyze and scrutinize that each and every component part in its entirety, right? And you have got to look at, the first thing you've got to look at is the dependency. So what is that process part dependent on? What needs to take place before that particular step is taken? What happens before, what should happen before, and what should happen after? So if there is a process in between, if there is a component part that needs certain steps that need to be taken, that need to be happening prior to that particular step occurs, you've got to consider that, and then you've got to also consider the ones which are going to happen after that. Why are you doing that? The reason you're doing that is because you're trying to check the sequence. The sequence is very important, because just altering the sequence, you may be able to improve the process. Okay, so this is where you're checking the sequence, and the best way to check the sequence is you are checking if every single component part is in order, if it is in the right order. The next thing you've got to do is that every single component part, you have to see whether that can be improvised in terms of if you can make that any faster, quicker, cheaper, right? And that is quite important, because that way you can really improve it. What you can do is that you can rejig things after you have analyzed each and every component part of the process. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. So an example that I can give you is, if you have, let's say if you run a restaurant, and the restaurant is, one of the things that you serve is a burger, then one way to improve that process would be serving the burger is literally, you can have certain amount of them semi-ready at the times when you think there is more crowd, more people who are going to be visiting or coming to your restaurant, right? So that is one way of doing things. I hope this has made some sense. If you would like to discuss this further, feel free to go to customizedstrategy.com and we can discuss this over a call. Thank you. Bye for now.